Here. The next 2 weeks are broken up by Christmas and New Year's holidays, so they're partial weeks. A lot of people are leaving for vacation, so take heed. This is one of the thinnest trading environments of the year besides August, when everyone's on vacation, especially the last few weeks before Labor Day. And that's when you could really have some exaggerated moves. Doesn't take as much money or volume to push the boundaries of average trading ranges that we have before this period. So could end up being a pretty good period for rates on both sides of the market. I want to start off with the dollar and the Dixie. As we hit 98.15 last week, so that was the beginning of the range for what I believe is going to be a dollar bottom. Between here and 97.60 are my levels, and we start taking out 97 intraday. That's going to be a pretty negative sign that we're going to break that 13, 14-year uptrend, and we're on our way to 90, maybe 80. But I still think that there's a possibility that what we do is still dig in our heels for a higher low here in the next several trading days, and that we're not going to see a collapse. A big number this week, the big numbers are the NFP tomorrow. I think they're expecting an increase of 50,000 jobs, and then we have the BOJ for Friday. Thursday night here. So that's going to be really two of the biggest market movers this week. And so I'm in an accumulation mode. Already have, a little bit on, short Aussie, a couple units from last week against this high that we didn't take out yet. So even though I'm probing for a dollar bottom, I'm still defining my risk. It's the only thing we could control. So put this on last week. I think it may have been this day, and then we started to have some follow through. So this is a daily. We're holding the 9 day. Start taking the 9 day out. I think that we could see push to the 50 day. That's about 530. Plus, I have some speed lines that intersect together down here around 65.20 or so. So we'll see if could survive the NFP without Aussie making new highs. Also have half position left in cable, which sold from about the 34 level, took part in what I think may happen since Euro really did confirm this high up here, is that we get a new high in Euro. I don't want to see it above 118. That's going to change the picture. So I'm thinking maybe a new high in Euro and perhaps a failing rally in cable. And we do have the BOE again. We have BOE. I forgot who else we have besides BOJ, Norges Bank. So there's some central bank action. I'm thinking that Euro could make a new high, and we potentially get a failing rally here in cable. If cable tries to make a new high, it's going to diverge again. But anyway, I'm starting to look towards the long side, very contrarian. So you have to use stops, especially this time of the year, in case they decide to really step on the dollar, especially if we get some weak data. Um, Looking at the end here, I own a little here. It doesn't look great. We're right near this very important um, breakdown level, right around this 154.5. We take out this black line. That's not going to spell anything positive for US dollar yen. So we'll see if they could turn this as well. The other count could be that if we don't hold here, plus look, we have a lot of confluence here, that we get some type of ABC and then they run it. So that's the way that looks to me. I do want to cover yields, which I think should support maybe the yen making another move to the upside. And here you go. You have the 10-year down a bit, knocking its head up against 420. Maybe it makes another trip down here, but I believe that this 420 breakout is imminent in the 10-year. Maybe the employment numbers will do it. I think it holds, 408, 405, back under 405. I guess rates are headed lower. TLT is up a little bit, but still pretty far away from its breakdown. Look how it trades in dots now. So may get an oversold rally. We have a little divergence here. And, we could get a rally in these if the stock market sell-off continues. We came in a little higher today, but the 4 hours already starting to look a little heavy. They are initially selling into it. Looks like a flag is developing here. Real critical area in S&Ps is this 68 level, or 780 is even more important. We start taking that out, it opens the door for some type of retest, and I think eventually take out the 6,500 level. Similar scenario in NASDAQ, which was weaker last week. Still looks to me, unless we could recapture this level on a close, which I tried 25.4. I talked about that 25.4 on Maggie's show on Friday. So we'll see if it could recapture that. Looks pretty vulnerable here, just trying to hold a 50-day. And I think there's a possibility, especially this time of year, if we want to have some type of bear raid in the market, that it could happen here. I think a lot of people were hoping they could wait until next year to register capital gains and defer them for another year. But if we start selling, taxes become less important. In fact, I don't think it's ever a good reason to stay in a position for tax consequences, because I think you should be grateful that you have capital gains, because you don't owe anything on capital losses. So you have capital gains. I wouldn't let calendar make my decision for positions that I have. So this could be vulnerable the next couple of weeks, while people that were waiting for year end. Plus, there still could be some tax selling that comes in here. Semis had a very negative week last week. They're trying to bounce, but the bounce is, nothing that impressive. You know, that's a pretty feeble bounce. Let's see what it does around 360. And I think that's about all I want to cover. Bitcoin's up. I still think it's forming a bear flag. Bear flags can stretch for a while. We could even get one more rally, but you know, here's really something that you have to pay attention to. If it breaks this uptrend that it's in here off these two lows, you're going to have some kind of problem. I'll make the pencil a little thicker and include these lows here. But to me, that measures well under the 80,000 level that we posted. And plus, that's still a confirmed low down here. Taking a look at, so NVIDIA's bouncing a little bit. Avco, Broadcom still under pressure. Uber still under pressure, trying to hold this level. It's got problems under this level. And WTI, I think, is making a new low for this cycle, but it hasn't taken out the 56 level yet. Waiting for this to be a 2026 long opportunity. And I just talked to Andrew O'Connell, who was talking about the cannabis stocks, and he's still very positive. He was one of the guys that showed it to me before it happened, and cannabis is just, on fire. So here's MSOS. This was the recent announcement, but it's been one heck of a move trying to come out of a base here. I think you have to buy weakness in these, and Yeah. So we'll see what happens here. Socks, uh, even weaker than the other than SMH. Already has a little red candle. So be careful with your long equity positions going into the end of the year. Everyone thought that, Santa Claus rally should still be in force. Also, we have, besides Friday being the BOJ, we have the winter solstice, and that's a time frame where you could be looking for reversals as well. So trade lightly in this environment. Make sure that your capital's intact going into next year when all the volume returns, and just position yourself lightly with, I said, lower leverage, broader stops. We'll see what happens with the dollar this week. I'm pretty focused on this being an important part of what's going on, where the market takes an inhale. It's been exhaling into the bubble. I think there'll be a little inhaling into the bubble. So don't just count your pips, count your blessings. I did put out a buy in the yen this morning. I had at the most 10 pips. Now I'm down four. So we'll see how this thing plays out. And I'm going to hold the Aussie and cable, looking to sell more cable, possibly tomorrow after the NFP. Good hunting, everyone.